Welcome to Paint and Draw Together channel. My name is Lela and thank you for joining me today. In today's video, I would like to share with you 13 of so far completed tiny watercolor paintings as part of the challenge which was initiated by artist Leslie Strauss. So together with those 13 paintings, I also would like to share 5 tips which you might benefit from, which I learned from doing this challenge for, I think, now almost 4 weeks. So let's show you what I've done. Here are those 13 paintings. I started to paint on March 5th and now it's March 28th. So within those 23 days, I completed 13 paintings, and I would like to show you how they look like and also what I learned along the way. So let's go through one by one. So the first was this painting, which I completed from a reference which was actually outside in the snow and in the farm fields in Canada. And it was cold, very cold. As you can see, trees don't have anything on them, but there was sunset, so I wanted to capture that. The next one was drawn and painted from life, which is a neighborhood, small, beautiful yellow house with a street scene and a lot of snow. It was very cold, so I did freeze quite a bit there. Then a few days later, I went for a walk, and there was a gentleman walking his dog, walking towards me, and that was the moment I wanted to capture in this painting, together with beautiful, frosty, wintry sun. Then a few days later, I went for a walk next to the river, and there was this interesting crooked tree next to the river, leaning over. And towards the end of the day, also there was sunset. So I captured both in this little painting. Then after that, I decided it's time to bring some color. So I chose to paint a simple flower from one of the references I got from the garden from last year. Being it winter, there is not really much color out there. Then after that, I spotted this beautiful birdhouse hanging on the tree, and that's where I decided to capture it in the painting. And then again, once in a while, I need more colors, so I chose a scene from Centennial Garden, which is botanical indoor garden very close to where I live. And when I need to really break winter blues, then I go to this garden and see some color. And that makes me feel much, much better. Then the next painting was painted from life. I went out for a walk next to the river and sat at the top of a hill and looked down on the river, which had small little island. And towards the end of the day, there was maybe 5 seconds of this glorious glowing sunset, and I captured it. Then after that, I figured I do need to go and get some more color. So I went to Centennial Garden, and they had a glorious display of tulips and spring bulb flowers, and among them nested this little garden angel, which I wanted to paint as well. So I painted this from life. Then I wanted a different subject, so I chose to paint this beautiful dog from one of the photo references which I took last year when I went to Europe. And that was a beautiful break from it. Then, of course, I went back to landscapes, and this is a scene in front of this centennial garden where there is a small little pond, which in summer is full of water lilies, which look gorgeous. But now in winter, it's quite bare, and there is this interesting bridge leading in the open field. So that was interesting to me to capture. Then again, I needed some more color, so I chose to paint this cottage in Sweden, and it's probably October time, so I painted that to capture that. And as the last painting so far is this painting from my neighborhood where I drew it from life, but after that completed it at home, which means I colored it at home because it was already the end of the day and it was dark, so I couldn't paint anything anymore. So that is display of 13 paintings which I've done in the last 4 weeks. And I do have intention to make all 100 by the end of 2025. If you can join me and join Leslie Strauss and the whole art community who is actually participating, that will be amazing. So if you feel a little bit hesitant or have some fear out of trying and committing to paint such a large number of very small paintings, then I would like to share 5 tips which you might have not heard anywhere else, which I learned from this short 4 weeks experience, which might be able to help you. So let's get to that. Tip number 1 is to prepare. And I will break this in 3 sub-categories. The first one is if you are to paint outside, it's important to be dressed properly. If you're in the cold climate like I am and it's winter, then it's very important to dress in a way where you would not freeze and feel uncomfortable. Otherwise, any other adversaries, any other weather which is not pleasant outside, and its effect should be minimized. So if it's sunny and there are mosquitoes and you're going to experience rain or any of that, it's important to have hats, protection, right shoes, right clothes, right hats, or umbrella, or be close to cars so that you can really protect yourself and also enjoy the whole experience as much as possible. The second is have your art supplies accessible and easy and quick to use. It's very personal. Some artists would like to have it all in a nice pouch. Some have a large bag for it, or some would just put art supplies in pockets, in vest or in pants or in jacket, and that will be very easy to just get out and use at any moment. I'm doing my best to actually reduce the amount of art supplies I'm taking outside, and that brings me to that third part of it, which is take the bare minimum which you need to paint outside. The more you take with you, the less likely it is that you're going to use it, and then you will be reluctant to go next time because the baggage is so heavy that it doesn't look like quick and easy and accessible. So for me, here is what I have chosen to take with me when I go out, and I can reduce this even further. So I will have small little plasticized piece here where I will glue the paper, not really glue, but apply masking tape over so that I can have those clean edges around it. That's first item I carry with me. Then if I need to, and sometimes I do, to make ink line drawing over it. My choice, instead of using marker, which is very easy to do and probably quite nice and viable option if you choose to use marker, I opted to use actually dip pen. So I have a holder here with nib, which is here, together with kneaded eraser. And then I have two little bottles. One is water and the other one is sepia Daleroni ink. The reason I have two of those is because if I just use ink, it's not going to flow that quickly and nicely and give me that micro, barely visible line. But if I add some amount of water to it, then it does so. So I take my nib, and then on the nib directly, I put 1 drop of water and 1 drop of ink. And that gives me perfect consistency to use to outline or just simply shade the drawing in ink. Then we come to brushes. I usually carry only water brush if I'm outside. And then if I need to, I add details with some small brush, or if I need to, I even use this brush for wet in wet painting. So it comes to extremely fine point actually. But more or less, water brush is the most efficient way to paint outside. Extra papers are here if I need them, so I just have that nicely packed and carry with me in case I have more time and I can paint more than one painting, which isn't often the case. And then small little palette. Now it's very easy to carry large palettes, humongous palettes, and I would advise against that because all you need is something small like this, 8 colors, and that's it. With this, I can probably paint a few hundred small paintings and probably even more than that. It's just not going to run out. Or I have here my new palette, which I really adore. It's my own design, and I have here 24 colors, which I packed in a way which makes sense to me. And that is extremely, extremely convenient to use and to paint outside. Just hold it with one finger, or I don't even need to hold it. I have this elastic band and I can just tuck it under like so, and it will hold everything as I need to, and then it's holding it for me. I don't need to use my fingers. I can have my hand fully available for me, and I can add my napkin or anything else I need to, so it's extremely, extremely versatile. In terms of colors, I have here my preferred colors which I chose, and if you like me to put a separate video and talk about the colors and what I chose and why I chose, please let me know, so I would be glad to make such video for you. And the last thing I didn't mention here is this pencil. 03 or 05 is perfectly fine, and kneaded eraser, which I keep in this small little tin so that it's easily accessible. That is needed for drawing, and that's pretty much it. So if I want to be really, really skinny in terms of painting, I don't need those. I can be without that. I just need this. If I even don't want to do inking, I can leave that out and just have this and have this and have this. That's it. I don't even need this if I don't want to paint more than one. So just having those few elements here together with a brush is all I need. That way I'm completely ready to paint. And for some of them, I didn't really use ink. Oops, I didn't use ink. I used only like those paintings. There is no ink there. It's just watercolor. This one as well, no ink. It's just watercolor. So it's not mandatory. It's up to you how you feel. Will that ink drawing help or not? When it comes to paper, I wanted to mention this. It's important to mark correct side of your paper when you cut it. And as you can see here, I have this small X here, which is important because that way I know that that's opposite side and I'm supposed to paint on the other side. As time goes by and you start to shuffle and flip and move those things around, then what is the face versus what's not the face is easily lost. And if you don't put that X over there, you might not know that. I wouldn't. What is the face and what is the opposite side? Now, this artist quality paper, 100% cotton, is made so that both sides are actually good to paint on. But I prefer to be consistent and use one side which I choose, and that's how I mark the opposite side with X, and then everything has the same grain and the same appearance. Tip number 2 is if you're going to paint outdoors or even paint landscapes indoors, it's very important to draw from life. Just take small little 0305 pencil and draw with it, because camera will change the proportions and relation of objects as well. And if that scene is not drawn from life, it is going to look completely different. If you look at any of those compositions, this one here, for example, this one here, any of these which include the entire composition, not just simple object, camera and photograph was not able to capture it. I was able to see it from real life and draw it from real life and capture that relation of objects, what's the tallest object, what's the next one, and how they relate to each other, just because I was doing it from life. If I was copying what my camera captured, that would be very disappointing. It wouldn't even close look like this. For close by objects like this flower or even this sleepy puppy here, it is okay because there will be not that many objects and that much distortion. But if we are talking about landscape, it is really, really important to draw from life. Otherwise, your composition might look off. If you had that problem, it might be because you're using photographs and they already did distortion or omitted important elements, and then it's very hard to come up with appealing composition in the process. Tip number 3 is take the photo of the most desirable moment during your painting time. When you're out and paint from life, usually it will take, at least I do, 1 to 2 hours to complete the entire painting. And depending on the time of the day or the weather outside, everything color-wise, shadow-wise will change within that 2 hours time frame. And sometimes I will start in the afternoon and end at sunset or even night time. And the colors and what I can see or observe will drastically change. During that time, there will be a moment which looks most beautiful and desirable, and that's the moment you would like to capture. However, there will be no magical way to make that painting right there in those 5 seconds, which look glorious. That's why it is very beneficial to take photograph or photographs, many of them, of that exact moment where the colors and shadows and light looks the best. And then once you complete drawing and skeleton of the painting, you can add that color and those elements even at home if you leave space for it. So it's important to take photograph of that best moment, how the painting looks like, or a few times during painting so that you can choose and make your mind what is the most desirable. Tip number 4 is that the color values are much lighter than you might think. For example, if I look at this painting, in essence, it barely has any color in it, only a little bit in the rocks and in the base of those important elements. But the rest is barely any color, and the edges are very soft. So if, for example, when you paint, you come very strong with a strong color, then it would be very hard to save that painting by the time you're done. Because if we imagine that we can paint, let's say, values from 1 to 10, and value is degree of lightness or darkness in the painting. If I take and apply color here to the entire surface of the paper, even the lightest color will already cut off 1 out of my value range I have available. If I apply color which is a little darker, I might lose even a few of those values. And working in a narrow value range is a sure way to make painting dull and unappealing. That's why it's important to keep the lightest values as light as possible, sometimes even complete white of the paper, and go with the darkest values as dark as possible. That way, we will have sufficiently appealing contrast in the painting. And in terms of distribution of values, it's always good to have, at least for watercolors, smaller percentage of dark values, but very dark values, and then a larger percentage of lighter values in the painting. So when I paint outside, I'm always aware that I should not paint things too dark unless it's night scene. Even then, I have tendency to lighten them up just so there is more air in the painting than otherwise. Hand in hand with that comes tip number 5, which is to have a single strong, dark, powerful color with you. If you look at my palette here, I have here colors which are vibrant, but then in this section I have earth colors and some of the very strong and powerful dark values. And having 1 or 2 of those colors is a game changer in the painting, because I can use that small amount of very powerful, strong, dark color to emphasize those darks where I want to emphasize them with just a few brush strokes. If I'm tasked to produce equally dark values just based on these vibrant colors, it will take quite some time to mix those darks and create exact hue which I want. And sometimes, depending on the strength of the pigment in the color you're using, that's not even doable. And that's why having at least 1 dark color, cadmium maroon, or very dark burnt umber, or even black on your palette will be quite beneficial. Thank you for watching. I hope this video inspires you to go out this summer and spring and autumn and winter and paint small treasures. It doesn't have to be 100 of them, even one counts. But going out and painting outdoors is really one of a kind experience. Thanks again and have a beautiful day.